Hi everyone, it's Maddie. I was lucky enough to go to Teen Day for RT Booklovers Convention 2014 on May 17th. My dad and my stepmom got me a ticket to Teen Day for Christmas this year after I dropped some not so subtle hints about really wanting to go, and oh my gosh, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. My dad and I showed up at the giant book fair at about 11:15, which is about 15 minutes after it started. We went to the check-in desk and I got my wristband, and then I got my press pass, which I freaked out about so very much because I was considered press just because I had my YouTube channel and I also had Fandom Monthly that I write reviews for and do reports for, and it was just insane. So then after that I got my books checked, and my books were a lot of them. I brought 16 books from home to get signed by the authors, and they had to put a stamp on it so that when they shined a light over it you could say that these were from your house and you weren't stealing any books. Then we went into this ballroom where there was a huge line. It snaked around the entire room. There were people sitting down just talking because it was so long and they'd been in there for such a long time, and I was freaking out because I had an interview scheduled for 2 o'clock and I figured it would take a really long time to just get through this line. I was terrified that we would get into the book fair and I would have an hour to get my book signed, and I knew that was not going to be enough. My dad went and talked to someone, and then we ended up going to another room where there was still yet another line, and I was still freaking out. And so I went to the person at the front of the line and I said, "Hey, I have a press pass and I have an interview scheduled at 2 o'clock and I am very scared that I won't have time to get my book signed before I have to leave for my interview. Do you think I could possibly get in ahead of everyone else?" The person went to go talk to their higher up and they came back and they let me in. So I got to go ahead of the line and go into the giant book fair. Super crowded, but that's okay because where I wanted to go was the YA alley, which was a stretch of tables filled with about 100 young adult authors. I got to talk to Amy Tintera and Gail Foreman and Kiera Cass, and I got to fangirl over Stephanie Perkins and Lynn Matson and Victoria Scott. Absolutely phenomenal. I took pictures with some authors, I got my books signed, and I freaked out. I brought some business cards actually that I had made. I went with 50 business cards and I left with 15, so I gave out 35 business cards to some of my favorite authors. What was crazy was that the longest line of the authors was for Sarah J. Maas, and she wasn't even along the back wall. The back wall held like some very famous authors like Veronica Rossi, Kiera Cass, Kelly Armstrong, Jennifer L. Armentrout, but the longest line was for Sarah J. Maas. It snaked along the room, and so my dad got in line for me, and I went around and got some books signed, and I met Cassidy Von Shea once again, and her boyfriend was carrying all 40 of her books. We took some pictures, talked a bit, and then I went to go get more books signed, and then I ran into Sasha Alsberg from A Book Utopia. And it was so surreal meeting her because I've been watching her videos for a really long time, and I've been following her on Instagram for a good while, and we just chatted for a few minutes because she had a line forming for people who wanted her to sign books. After the book fair was over, I went to the press room. I'm officially in the interview room, and this is the most exciting experience ever. I'm going to be interviewing Lynn Matson, Julie Murphy, and Victoria Scott. Dad's in the photo. Come in, Dad. Say hello to the camera. He didn't say hello. Those bags right there are all the books I got signed. Oh, and there. Right there. And posters. Yay! I had scheduled an interview with Lynn Matson for 2 o'clock, but unfortunately she got held up in a line getting her books checked, and so Julie Murphy ended up showing up first, and so I got to interview her. I will link that right here so you can go watch that. Then after that, Lynn Matson showed up, having gotten all of her books signed and checked, and so then we did our interview. I actually talked to Lynn Matson about arcs and things, and it was just crazy and wonderful. She gave me some swag and posters, and it was great. I had cut into a lot of time for the YA writing panel, and I had really wanted to go to that. that to see what writing was like for authors. And so I went in, and not a minute after I sat down, I got a text from Victoria Scott that said, "Hey, I'm free right now. Do you want to do the interview?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I bolted out of that room and went and sat back down in the interview room, and I got to interview Victoria Scott. I actually just posted this video, so I will link that here as well. She is fabulous, and I definitely suggest that you go read her book, Fire and Flood, right now. Read it before it blows up, because it's that good. After I interviewed Victoria Scott, I walked out of the press room to find that the line for the Gayle Forman panel had quadrupled in size. There were 2 people there when I went into the press room. I left probably 40 people, and I freaked out because I had desperately wanted to go to the Gayle Forman panel. I knew I wanted to do some coverage, but I wouldn't have been able to do some coverage from at the very back of the room. I think they started turning people away at some point, so I went to the person at the door and I said, "Hey, I'm here for Fandom Monthly and I really want to cover this event. Do you think it's possible that I can get in first?" And so I got in first row with the help of this little bad boy. Once again, I got to sit first row at a Gayle Forman panel, and the actress who played Kim in If I Stay actually got to come and talk to us, and I asked her questions. I asked Gayle questions. As we were going in, they were giving us little ticket stubs with numbers, and toward the end of it, they were picking numbers from a hat, and my number got picked, and so I won a prize pack that I can't exactly remember what it holds, but it holds 2 tickets to the If I Stay movie, I believe, and All the Feels t-shirt, a bag, I think, the movie tie-in edition of If I Stay, and some swag and stuff.
Oh my god, I got 2 tickets to If I Stay.
If I Stay is so good. It's crazy phenomenal. It's wonderful. I love Gayle Forman. She's such a great writer, and I couldn't believe that I got to meet her face to face when I met her at the book fair. Mentioned Christine's video that she did with her, and we talked about Christine for a good while. I had a little bit of time in between that and the speed reading panel I wanted to go to next. So in those 15 minutes I had between the 2, realized I was very hungry, and so I went to the speed reading panel and sat down in the front row, and my dad got me a sandwich. I ate that sandwich and it was good. I went into the speed reading panel, and it was moderated by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and it had a bunch of authors on the panel, but I'm actually going to have a separate video on that because I vlogged during that panel. But basically, the authors had 2 minutes to read an excerpt from their book, or they would be attacked by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. That was hilarious. I ended up actually winning 3 books from that panel because they played YA charades, and I won the big prize pack because I guessed the hard one. After the speed reading panel, I went downstairs. I had about 15 minutes until the Teen Day party, and so we went downstairs, and there once again I saw Cassidy, and I ended up sitting by her, and we had a really long conversation. It was great. Cassidy's great. I'll link her channel down below. She's absolutely wonderful and fabulous and just so sweet, and we actually vlogged a little bit together. Hi everyone, I'm here with Cassidy in line for the Teen Day party, and we're probably going to get some free books, which is quite exciting. We're like sort of close to the beginning. Yeah, we're really close to the beginning actually, so hopefully they won't run out of bags of books by the time we get in there. So yeah, I've been having a great time.
So many authors.
I know.
And just so much fun.
It's just really overwhelming at points too. There are 700 authors in one room and over 700 fans.
Yeah, a lady told me there were like over 1,000 people there.
I mean, there are readers. It gives me hope that there are readers in America.
Yes.
Alright,
bye.
Everyone was lining up in front of the doors because on the website it said, first come, first serve, we'll get a bag of books. Everyone in the line was thinking, okay, there'll probably be like 50 bags of books. But we went into the room after the doors opened, and there were tables full of bags of books. The teens would get one, and then they said the adults could go get one, so my dad got me a bag. Then my dad got me another bag, and so I had 3 bags full of books. Then they opened up another room full of swag, and you could grab 4 books from there, so I grabbed 4 books and some swag. And then I went back out, and they still had more books, and so they were rearranging the books on the tables by author, and I swear it was like the Hunger Games. Girls were diving for books left and right, and I grabbed as much as I could and ran. During that, I got to hang out with Cassidy too and talk to a bunch of authors and give them my business cards, and I got to have some really great conversations with them, and Sarah J. Maas said I was cool. I almost died on the spot. I haven't read Throne of Glass yet, but you might know that it's a pretty popular book series. She asked how old I was, and I told her I was 14, and she was like, that is insane. I wouldn't have been able to do that at 14. She signed my book that I got, You Are Awesome, Stay Wonderful, or something like that. It was just so wonderful to get to talk to her, and I got to talk to other authors too. It was a very one-on-one setting rather than talking at someone sitting at a table signing books. I could look them in the eye, talk to them, and hand them my business card and be like, oh yeah, I do this. I ended up leaving RT Booklovers convention very happy, very tired, and with 36 free books. That was insane. A little crazy and a little daunting to actually get out of the hotel that RT Book Lovers Convention was in, but it was crazy and awesome nonetheless, and I am so grateful to have been able to go this year. I'm Maddie, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Bye.